Hello and welcome to the Voices of the Vic podcast. My name is Mike, and today I'm going to deliver to you, I'm not, Jonny from the Boro Breakdown Podcast is going to deliver today's Lowdown series, in which Jonny will speak to us about our new left-back signing, Marc Bola. We signed him from Samsunspor over in Turkey. His contract expired and then we've signed him as a free agent. He spent 3 seasons at Middlesbrough, made over 80 appearances in the league. So it'd be good to get an account from somebody who's watched him in the Championship, which is where he's coming to play for Watford. You know, we've heard from people online how much of a solid couple of seasons he's had over in Turkey, which is great to hear. But the bottom line is we want to know how they're going to perform in this league, in the league that they've been brought over to play in. And like I say, who else better than Jonny from the Boro Breakdown Pod to give his thoughts on Marc Bola's time at Middlesbrough and hopefully a little sneak behind the curtain of what Watford fans can expect. So the next voice you'll hear is Jonny's. Thank you very much, Jonny. If you enjoy this video, leave a like, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button as well so that you're always updated when we upload and go live as well. But until next time, come on, you won't.
Hello guys, Jonny here from the Boro Breakdown Podcast, here to give you a review on your brand new left back, Marc Bola. Now, Marc did spend some time at Middlesbrough for over 3 seasons, and if I could describe his time at Middlesbrough or a type of player that he is in 3 words, I would say he's reliable, he's adaptive, and he's also a bit of a jeweler. And if I wanted to add a 4th one, I would say he's relatively quite solid, and he's definitely going to raise the floor of the team at Watford. And I think what great teams have is really good competition in near enough every single position. And if you can improve that as time goes on every season, you should be in a better place come the end of it. And I think Marc definitely adds that to Watford. I think and he's going to be a second choice type left back for Watford next season. But I won't be surprised seeing him knocking on the door pretty much most weeks to try and get into this team. And well, what was his time at Middlesbrough like, and what was his insights? What can I give you based on the 3 or 4 words that I've gave you? And I think Marc has improved significantly defensively in terms of being secure and more solid. When he first joined Middlesbrough, we were getting managed under Jonathan Woodgate. We had a big overhaul of players, and Marc, he did struggle. You know, he's a 21-year-old stepping up into the Championship, and not with huge amount of experience coming into that. He did get rinsed a little bit, but that was mainly just due to Boro being very expansive, defenders getting isolated, and he really struggled to adapt. But as time's gone on, he started to improve then, and he's definitely excelled over in Turkey and tried to improve on that as well. His aerial duels has actually increased significantly whilst he's been over in Turkey. But at Middlesbrough, he was relatively quite poor at them, especially at left back. But then when he played at left centre back, and that's why I say it's becoming adaptive because we played a back 3 and a back 4 under Mike Carrick and under Chris Wilder. He definitely started to improve. And the one big thing I would say is ball security is definitely something you can rely on. He's good at maintaining possession. He's really good with dribbling and trying to progress the play. And his progressive passes were really good for Middlesbrough during that time. But that's when we relied heavily on the left centre-back trying to play through the thirds. And then similarly with that left-back as well, really trying to bomb on and try to get a ball in the box. And that brings me quite nicely to his weaknesses, to be honest, because although he was able to get forward, I would say his creative output was actually relatively quite poor. His crossing ability in the box, his chance creation metrics, which now we rely a lot on in terms we're looking at fullbacks. I don't really think he is in that top percentile of players. He can get forward and make things happen and keep possession safe, but it's that final third of getting that into the box. So if it's a team that heavily relies on attacking fullbacks, he's definitely not the sign that you'd want to make. But if it's a team that relies on being solid, then Marc Bola will definitely fit in that team. And then one final thing as well, just in terms of, I alluded to it just a little bit earlier on around his tackling. It was something that we observed and critiqued at times when Marc Bola did play for Middlesbrough. He's definitely in the lower percentile outputs when you look at his time defensively for Middlesbrough. He didn't really win his duels as much. He wasn't particularly the greatest at being aggressive in his tackles. it was very much interceptions, and we'll try and get possession, recycle it from there. But overall, I think that Marc provides really good cover. I think he's consistent defensively now. He's really started to improve over in Turkey by looking at his numbers. But appreciate, is it a lesser league or not compared to the Championship? But definitely more intense in the Championship. But he's definitely improved from the number standpoint. He doesn't really contribute going forward, but he's very, very solid in possession. And I think he's a player who will actually benefit Watford and improve the floor of the team. So I think overall you've got a good player there, a player who's a really good character, someone who you want around the group. And I really liked in his video as well, like he said, he's got more to prove in this league, unfinished business. So I think this is a good signing on a 3-2. I think overall Watford fans should be relatively quite pleased with the signing. But guys, thank you very much for having me on, and I'll speak to you soon.